What's going on, YouTube? This has been Macintosh coming back for another review. This time I have a 40 pack of old horror films. I'm only reviewing one, don't freak out. But I just have to show you this. You're going to see this a lot. I've watched a lot of these and I still have a lot of these to watch. But the one I'm reviewing today is the Mesa of Lost Women, which is pretty much just should have been called She Spiders. Because basically, this mad doctor takes spider brain, puts it in woman body, or puts woman brain in spider body. Spider gets really big. They put it back in woman body. Now, woman has spider brain. Weird thing to think about, and these spiders are like invincible. Didn't make a lot of logical sense. It probably wasn't the best movie ever, and it's definitely not one of the greatest from this time period. Because I believe it was made in the 60s, I think. But it is decent. I mean, just because it has the pilot, the crazy guy who's actually one of the doctors, this man, his wife, and this Asian guy who works for the doctor with spiders. I didn't think it made a lot of sense, but it did. And the pilot and this woman are like the main characters. And like one by one they're kind of picked off by these spider people, I guess they're referred to as. And this doctor, I don't know what the point of the spider thing was. It's usually just, in the 60s they made scientists look really bad. And they made science look bad as a whole. And, Mesa of Lost Women could have gone better. Like, I would have just had him messing with spiders and making, like, genetically altered spiders. Forget the women. Like, the women aren't important. They're in the name, but they're not important to the story. And they ended up burning the place down, and the usual dude sacrifices himself to blow a place up. And the only survivors are the pilot and this newly married, now newly widowed woman. So it's definitely has its tosses and its turns, but it's just definitely not the greatest old horror film I've ever seen in my life. And it could have been a hell of a lot better. But for what it was, for what I knew it was going to be, I thought it was decent and I enjoyed it just this much. It was a little. These old horror films, when in packs like this, you find a couple ones you really like, a couple ones that are decent, and you got a lot that are just like the Mesa of Lost Women. Like one I'm watching right now, spoiler alert, it's called Horrors of Spider Island. Another spider horror film. And I'm in the first 17 minutes of it, and pretty much whores crash airplane with pilot. There's always a pilot for some reason. And they took 17 minutes to get to land. That's all I saw. It should have been whores on Spider Island, not horrors of Spider Island. Just whores and Spider Island. It's pretty much anything in the 60s with spiders probably sucked. But I haven't seen the actual spider part of it yet. And you'll see a review of that later. But Horrors of Spider Island, if you find a horror pack like this and it's in it, watch it, but I'm not going to recommend it to you. I'd give it like 1 star because it was filmed decently. And because it was the 60s, they didn't have the most tools to work with. But excuses aside, Psycho was made in the 60s, and that thing was one of the best horror films ever made. I'm not going to brag on Hitchcock, but was a pretty great director. So, take that, Horrors of Spider Island and Mesa of Lost Women. Now, this review is going to be a little short because I was expecting to talk about this more, but there really isn't much to talk about. Mesa of Lost Women isn't that great. I wouldn't recommend watching it unless you're really into old horror films. Then I would just say watch it. But don't expect Psycho or The Birds out of it, because it's not that. It's not. So this has been a Ben Macintosh review of a movie he really didn't care for. So thanks for listening. Watch out for it, and Stay tuned for a review of a movie I did like, The Mummy Returns. I will be talking about that. The original Mummy, you want me to talk about it, it'll be in my collection video. This has been Ben Macintosh Review. Peace out.